Time check is 12 noon. Good afternoon to you and welcome to the live broadcast of Newsbrief from Atrusia at Regional Accra, the Akuya Boyma studio. I am Bright Nanakwesi. Coming up in the next hour. Latest post by Global Info Analytics show a loss to the ruling New Patriotic Party if elections were held today given prevailing harsh economic conditions. What difference can newly elected national executive of the party make as 2024 fast approaches? We'll tell you more. Meanwhile, the NPP's Tertiary Students Confederacy petitions the New Patriotic Party leadership over what it describes as disrespect, undermining and devaluation. In some health issues, Marburg virus disease now confirmed in Ghana as cause of deaths of 2 persons in the Ashanti region. We will tell you how to remain safe. And on the international front, at least 7 people, including children, killed by flash floods triggered by seasonal torrential rains in Sudan's western Darfur region, according to the United Nations. Welcome to the news here this afternoon. Now, there were some shockers and moments captured during the ruling New Patriotic Party's National Delegates Conference held at the Accra Sports Stadium. Over the weekend, 7 executives were elected, including Stephen Ntim, a 5-time contender of the chairmanship position. Here is a wrap of the activities, and before that, let's take a look at what exactly is being said by TESCON, who are petitioning the New Patriotic Party for what they call devaluation and disrespect. And it says Article 10(2)J of the NPP Constitution makes one representative from every recognized test constitution a delegate at the annual delegate conference of the New Patriotic Party, but it seems the party deliberately didn't recognize us as part of the conference. Allocation of stands were made for all delegates with the exception of TESCON at Accra Sports Stadium, which clearly indicates that the party did not factor us and never value us in the planning of the whole event. We were lodged at Nakazo in the Eastern region without allocation of rooms to our TESCON delegates from the Greater Accra region. They slept outside and others in cars until the next morning for us to come to the stadium and be told an injunction has been placed on TESCON, and for that matter, we would not be allowed to vote. Delegates from the Ashanti region were given 45 accreditations instead of 174 accreditations for the presidents, Nasara coordinators, and the women commissioners, 58 each. And with Greater Accra, 23 accreditations were given instead of 144, and this is similar to all the other regions. We, the 291 TESCON presidents across the country, believe that the leadership of the New Patriotic Party do not have the interests of TESCON at heart and do not recognize us as the intellectual wing, as it has always been professed by the party, because for you to bus intellectuals from various regions, for them to travel miles to the capital city of the country, risking their lives just to disenfranchise them without any reason, is just disheartening. On this note, we, the 291 TESCON presidents in Ghana, have concluded to suspend all activities of TESCON on our various campuses till further notice, which includes general meeting, programs, elections, handing overs, etc., until we see the said injunction, the one who placed the injunction and the reason for the injunction, and also give us positive assurance to settle as soon as possible for an ambiguity on TESCON. We will be speaking to some of the TESCON executives to find out what exactly they mean by this statement. Now, let's still stay more on the just ended NPP executive elections, as the aide of former President Mahama, Joyce Bauer, says the NDC doesn't see the New Patriotic's new party executives as threats to them.
Mr. Stephen Ntim has been struggling to become chairman for the last 20 years. I haven't been in politics even for 20 years. So what is there to contend with? Or the one that lost after spending all the money in the world on an election he failed to win? No, in terms of who becomes an executive, I mean, those ones are purely internal matters. Just like John Boydu didn't satisfy his internal people, if Stephen Ntim fails to, he would also lose the same way at the next cycle. So certainly not our cup of tea. And we all know that we have one of the brightest, the wittiest, the most experienced general secretaries ever in the history of this country. Take the Honorable Hudu Yaya, come down to General Mosquito. The NDC has a great human resource. That is not in doubt. So I don't think that we care much who has struggled for 50 years or 60 years. In any case, Mr. Akufo-Addo contested so many times to become president. What has happened to all the promises he made? I mean, if most Ghanaians had known then what they know now, as they say, hindsight is always just a teacher.
Also, Joyce Bauer Muktari, the aide for the former President John Dramani Mahama, stated that monies expended in the just ended delegate conference by the NPP could have been used to feed schools facing food shortage.
And Annie, remember that the monies that are purportedly or allegedly being expended on this particular conference could actually feed some of those schools, probably very healthy meals for the next few days. I have no doubt that the looting that has gone on was evident in that stadium. And I hope that the persons from the IMF and all these Bretton Woods institutions were actually paying attention. What are we asking the IMF for? About 2 to 3 billion. Let President Akufo-Addo explain it away in all the language or words that he wants to, whether it's to negotiate, better negotiate, whether they inherited the derailed IMF program. They extended that program they inherited up to 2018. And remember that most of the credit they give to themselves is actually born out of that program that they inherited. Because as soon as the program ended, we all know what happened.
A women's organizer contender in the just ended NPP national elections, Ellen Ama Darko, has revealed she didn't dole out money to any of the delegates. Ellen polled just 9 out of the total vote cast last Saturday. Speaking on Good Morning Ghana earlier today, the communicator said she will continue working for the party even after losing the elections.
This election, I knew what to expect. I wanted to make a statement, and I think I have made a very good statement.
So you didn't want to win?
It's not a matter of I didn't want to win. Of course, why would you go in without wanting to win? But you have expectations, realistic ones. And let's just say that I have made the statement I wanted to make.
What was that statement?
It's obvious. I've made the statement I wanted to make. I wanted to give the young ladies or the young women in the NPP, I wanted them to know that it is possible. You can stand for an election. A lot of them have these fears that we don't want to stand and we don't want to go against the system and we don't want to go against certain people. Going for an election is not war. You don't have to go against anybody if you run your campaign well. And I believe you'd all bear me witness that I ran a very good campaign, devoid of insults, devoid of, I didn't attack anybody, I just let out my message. It is possible, you can do it. You might not win. You might not win because politics is hard business. Politics is about money. You might not have the resources. You might not win.
And on to the main event, there were some showcase moments captured during the ruling New Patriotic Party's National Delegates Conference held at the Accra Sports Stadium over the weekend. 7 executives were elected, including Stephen Ntim, a 5-time contender of the chairmanship position. Here is a wrap of events.
It all began with filing of nominations with the intention to lead the party in its quest to break the 8, to serve a 3rd consecutive term in office, a height never attained before by any political party in the country. After rigorous engagement, including vetting, all was set for the election at the Accra Sports Stadium. When the conference started Saturday afternoon, former President John Agyekum Kufuor and the President, Akufo-Addo, urged unity and for only most competent persons to be elected. At about 5 p.m., the polls were opened for all delegates eligible to partake in the exercise take turn to vote. Collation of the results began after polls ended at about 10:45 p.m. Some party faithfuls shared some expectations as they anxiously waited for the declaration. After hours of waiting, Director of Electoral Service Department of the Electoral Commission Ghana, Dr. Serebo Kwaku, announced the results. The declaration at dawn gave some chills to the bone of some candidates with high hopes of retaining their seats, especially John Boadu. But is it what the people want? A change, they say, was expected right from the beginning of the Congress. The newly elected chairman of the party, Stephen Ayensu Ntim, who had been eyeing the seat for about 20 years, gave his first speech as the NPP elected chairman. Well, can there be an election without chaos? Let's see from these videos what happened during and after the elections. Overall, the election was marked successful. The New Patriotic Party NPP can confidently boast with their mantra, "The elephant has triumphed." But is this a giant step to realize the ambitious quest tagged Breaking the 8? Time will indeed tell.
So you can also share with us your views from the just ended executive election that was held at the Accra Sports Stadium. Let's bring you more. Now, from the Global Analytics survey, they say that if elections should be held today, the NPP will lose. Looking at the economic hardship, what exactly will this new crop of elected executive mean to the party? Take a look at this.
I think this is the first time I'm breaking this
Right.
live on air. We just finished the poll yesterday morning across 75 constituencies.
75 constituencies
across the country. The report is coming out on Wednesday.
Okay.
What I can say is that, I mean, MPP is seriously behind in the poll. If you look at where we were in April when the last poll came out, it's deteriorated.
Deteriorated.
Yes, it's
Are we
worse.
talking 60-40?
Far below that. I mean, it's quite scary. And
In
I mean,
75 constituencies.
In 75 constituencies.
What's the sample size here?
It's 5,484 or so sample size.
In 75 constituencies.
Yes.
The regions.
All the regions.
All the regions.
Yes, all the regions were represented.
Wow.
And these are 75 randomly selected constituencies. We looked at the performance of the president. We asked people about the direction of the country. We asked people about the standard of living, whether it's gotten worse in the last 12 months, and whether they are optimistic that it will get better.
Okay.
We also asked about people's view about a JAPA transaction that is coming up. We asked about people's view on the...
Did they know about it and they understood?
Yes, very clear. We asked about the cathedral as well, and we have a very interesting revelation to come
on the
next week.
cathedral.
Absolutely fantastic revelation. We also had questions around the NDC MPP primaries, general voters' preference of which of these candidates they want to lead the parties. We're also able to analyze the results, looking at what MPP voters want to elect. And we had a very clever way of speaking to some delegates who are voting today, or some that may even be in the field, about who they want to lead the MPP. And we have that information too.
As well.
So we're going to release all of that
on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. And to cap things, I mean, the entrance of Kennedy Japan has really turned the race upside down.
You mean people like him?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And we're not going to sit here and make any revelations, But what we're going to come out on Wednesday, we'll see that those who should have won certain regions haven't won it because of Kennedy Japan. We did head-to-head between John Mahama and Alan, John Mahama and Bawumia, and we did Dufour versus Bawumia and Dufour versus Alan, so that we will see all the permutations. See, the front runners for NDC will be Dufour and John Mahama. And it wasn't fair for us to be pegging John Mahama against the leading MPP and leaving out Dufour, so that people can see Dufour's chances if he is the candidate.
Right.
So we are giving people a chance to see
What was it?
How Dufour.
How did he fare?
Between him and Bawumia was closer
Right.
than Alan.
So the NDC should not make a mistake of bringing Dufour.
Well, when the data comes out, they can see the figures.
Right, but then John Mahama beat both Bawumia and Alan Sherman.
And that has been consistent from February, April, and this July. And the magnitude will be seen.
We are live and active on DSTV channel 277 and across all social media platforms. This is Newsbeat. We are back from the break with more. Welcome back. Let's now talk about health. Now, the two patients known to have contracted the deadly Marburg virus in the Ashanti region have been confirmed to have actually died from the highly infectious disease. This was contained in a report after their samples were sent to a laboratory in Senegal.
Health officials in the West African nation say 98 individuals are now under quarantine as suspected contact cases. The World Health Organization, which is supporting the country's health authorities, has commended Ghana's swift response. The WHO's Africa Director, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, noted this is good because without immediate and decisive action, Marburg can easily get out of hand. As of now, Marburg has no cure, but doctors say drinking a lot of water and treating specific symptoms expand a patient's chances of survival. The virus is spread to people from fruit bats. Also, it spreads between humans through the transmission of bodily fluids. It is a deadly illness with symptoms including headache, fever, muscle pains, vomiting blood, and bleeding. This is the second time that Marburg has been identified in West Africa.
Joining us here is Dr. Franklin Esiedu from Ghana Health Service to tell us more about Marburg and how it's been contained by the service. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Esiedu. Now, are there any new update on Marburg disease?
Thank you very much. So the situation is that we still have the 98 contacts. These contacts, today is day 21 for 39 of them. So hopefully by the close of today, we will discharge 39 of these 98 contacts. So that is the update on the situation.
But what exactly is the way forward, and how is the Ghana Health Service handling the situation?
Yeah, so for us, our approach is containment as source. So it has been some days or weeks now. We still have just 2 cases. We've tried to identify all contacts. We are doing daily follow-up in all of these contacts. What we are also doing is that we are trying to expand our surveillance system. We are involving our volunteers, so who are in the various communities, who will be able to identify all unusual events and as early as possible detect and contain it. So we are actually working on a very sensitive surveillance system, broad enough to early detect manage cases which should occur.
Unlike COVID-19, how are Ghanaians supposed to manage this? How worried are we supposed to be as of now?
I will say that there's a little bit of a difference between COVID-19 and Marburg. You see, you can get the infection. For COVID-19 when the person is asymptomatic. I mean, the asymptomatic person can spread the infection to you. This one, the person must be symptomatic before you can get the infection, and it's purely by contact. So that's why our message is you avoid contact with persons who are ill by way of their secretions or they are black. And because there's a zoonotic condition, the reservoir is actually bats. So we're also saying you have to avoid bats so that we don't get affected. For Marburg, there's no vaccine. So basically, the home management is symptomatic treatment. And what is good for the system is about early detection so that you don't have a spillover to other areas.
All right, thank you for coming with us here, Dr. Franklin Asiedu, who is Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, telling us all we need to know about the deadly disease Marburg. As we're still watching this live here on Metro TV, from our studios here at Ridge in Accra, the Queer Boy Master. Follow us across all social media handles. Away from that, the 4 teacher unions and public sector workers called off their indefinite nationwide strike after a crunch meeting with government on Thursday, which ended inconclusive on a 15% COLA payment. But have the teachers resumed teaching yet? Currently, my colleague Esther Japan has visited some senior high schools and brings the situation on the ground to us.
Last week, teacher unions agreed to a 15% COLA payment from government, and so they decided to call off their strike. And we visited some schools here in Accra on Friday to gauge the situation. The teachers had not resumed. This week, the case is different because a same visit to most of the schools here shows that the teachers have resumed fully. And however, there's a zonal sporting competition going on, so most of the students are not engaged actively in learning. The teachers are available for the Form 3 students who might not be participating fully in the sporting activities to coach them, to teach them for the gap that the 2-week strike had brought on their studies. Speaking to some of the heads of the schools, they say that they are trying to have a plan to make sure that the students are able to catch up on the 2 weeks that the teachers were on strike. WASSCE is just in 2 weeks, so they have to garner all their efforts. The teachers have to speed up and all of that. So we'll follow keenly on it. By next week, teaching resumes fully. We'll follow keenly and find out how the students are making up for the lost time and how the teachers are going to go about it. So I'm here live at the Labone Senior High School, reporting for Metro News. I'm Esther Japan.
And yes, we heard there. Now, to some rather sad news, a 17-year-old goalkeeper, Yao Abedi, has been crushed to death by a speeding vehicle from Gomwa Inglesi to Gomwa Odumase in the Gomwa West District of the Central Region.
The goalkeeper was crossing the N1 highway to catch a ball during a friendly match between Gomwa Odumase and Gomwa Inglesi local football clubs, but was crushed by a speeding VW Sprinter bus with registration number GW 983621 heading towards Mankasim. Unit committee member for Gomwa Odumase, Ebenezer Brokwa, is an eyewitness.
But asama osi ewiabere no no ye Odumase between Injesi and now war friend match ewiabere. Na ball no washas no endu by 15 minutes. Na first goal ba mo pass Odumase share Injesi for 1. Nti mra wo pass ball no ball no kick. Nti keeper no cross kwan no we kay ball na aba. Na odula no ho na takureta bi twem nti ogina ma takureta no otwem wie. Wafa first lane na lane or third lane no we sifom. Na sprinter ne fi akra bas na akọ so okọ keeper na takureta no de yentumi nkyere. Me yate anda pan ma obo abofra no.
Meanwhile, some residents of Millennium City in the Gomwa East District have expressed worry over the rampant cases of accidents at the sport. Residents attribute the phenomenon to the setting of illegal structures at the junction, making visibility difficult for drivers. They say all attempts to get local authorities to have the structures removed have been unsuccessful.
Is that there's a temporary structure at my back who is causing so many accidents here on the Millennium City High Street. Anytime you heard of any accident on Millennium City High Street, it's this junction. So the association and the landlord association here We are all complaining, but still now the man don't want to vacate. And so now too, if only you are looking for the bad boys, you come and meet them here. Anytime the land guard sees the people's tools, they used to dump their tools here.
Car bia ebe twem anu mu se bia no na se car bi nso firi akiri anu mu ba onhu obehu an se accident esi enti ye hwe kra bebre e wo Johnson we so pa kra bebre at least they so far be 7 times ni ameme kai papa bi o akiri anu mo omo ye pure water ne nkola ni mienu ni nyina omo nyina omo ahwe omo kra
ka bi bo me e wa ase wo wa ase mete moto so ana car no ontimi ehu ni se ndiro oba nechi asana wa ko e ka kakra nya nyame anka e bo me but balance for ase so aja say enti sesi ana e wo mu se e wo se e hwe ko e be fa so a asumdwe be den e be ba.
Very sad incident there. Now, the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei Edichum, says government has released $150 million to resolve the issue of food shortage in senior high schools across the country. According to him, government is committed to ensuring students in the country are satisfied with their needs.
Within a short period of time, suppliers are saying we used to do 60 days. We can do 60 days.
Doesn't it go beyond 60 days sometimes?
No, sometimes it go, of course. That even make it worse.
Right.
So if I'm a supplier, I'm hesitant because I feel like my capital will be lost. So we had to quickly jump in, meet with a number of banks to begin to look at how do we solve this problem. So even though disbursement has come from Ministry of Finance, about 150 million by Friday has been received. So now buffer stock is now talking to suppliers to look at how quickly they can supply schools to make sure the schools that were having challenges will no longer be in that situation. So Ministry of Education, of course, cannot sit as idle, even though it's a buffer stock issue. We had to quickly work with them, get some supplies. As I speak with you today, thousands of bags of rice, sugar going to Eastern region and Ashanti region. A number of trucks have left Tema today with rice, with sugar going to various regions, so that we'll be able to solve the problem.
Now go to the northern region where our correspondent Hassan Dibaba is currently there, touring schools and seeing the situation there. Good afternoon to you, Hassan Dibaba. What can you report? Dibaba, kindly unmute your sound and let's have a conversation. So we know that government, according to the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Edichum, says it has released an amount of $150 million to curtail the food shortage across schools. You've been touring schools in your region. What more can you report?
Yes, like I said, I am currently at the campus of Tamale Senior High School in the northern region, where I visited last week and they complained of not having enough food items to feed their students. And when I visited the school, I was told that they were given 11 bags of Tom Brown yesterday, which is very, very inadequate. I also visited Tamale Islamic Senior High School and Ghana Senior High School, and the situation was the same thing there. So it's like government has given them something, but it is very, very inadequate. And secondly, what they were expecting government to give them is not what government is giving them, even though it is inadequate. Because according to the some people or some authority that I met at Tamale Senior High School, they explained to me that what they have given them cannot even sustain them for 3-4 days. So they are really shocked that they were given this. So I was even with the students, and they also complained that the food situation is still the same thing at the dining hall, because what they are being fed with is still nothing to write home about. And some of the students are even closer to me who are willing to still share their plight with Metro News as to what they go through on the campus of Tamale Senior High School. So I can confidently confirm that the food distribution to senior high schools across the country, including Northern Region, is still something that the schools are not happy with. So the students are with me, and I believe Madam, you are welcome. You are welcome to Metro News. You are on live TV. You are welcome to Metro News. What can you tell us about the food situation at Tamale Senior High School?
It's still the same.
It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
So, do you mean that you are still being fed with low quality of food and all those?
Yes.
So, what do you have to tell government? Because we were told that we are going to be giving food that was by the education minister. What do you have to tell government about it? Because we were told that they have given you food.
Yes, they've given something small to support, but it's not enough for us. So we need more to support our living in campus.
All right. Thank you so much. There's still another student who is also willing to speak to me. Okay, that's very good. Madam, tell me, what is the food situation on campus here? What do you have to tell Metro News about what you are going through on campus?
The food situation in Tamale Senior High School is very bad. Even though yesterday we received
very bad network there from our regional correspondent Al-Hassan Dibaba. Let's go to the Eastern region where our Eastern regional correspondent Kofi J is also having touring schools in the region and come through with this report. Kofi J.
Yes, sir.
Great. What can you tell us?
This morning, I talked to my sources in some of the schools, and they were telling me, some of the schools were telling me that they have food, especially Ghana's. They were telling me they have enough food. After talking to them, I went to the Charge President office, the Eastern Regional Charge President office, and he told us off camera that this morning he called all the 7 zones in the region, and none of them have received any food from the ministry. And he said he don't want to talk on camera because of victimization, since they released their press, they gave out their press release. They have been attacked here and there, so he doesn't want to talk again on camera. But he told me that the national president, the Chad national president, sent him videos this morning that the minister sent it to him that there are loads of bag of rice and cars on their way to the region, but they are yet to receive them here. And even the Church of Pentecost gave them donation of food. That was on Friday. That's what his school, he's the headmaster of the Pensec Senior High, and that's what the school is depending on now, the donation from the church. That's what I have.
All right, thank you. We'll come back to you later if there are any more updates to share with us and our viewers. Kofi J is our Eastern Regional correspondent. Away from that to some transport and road issue, the Tema Accra passenger services has begun, and after successful addressing some technical challenges, management of Ghana Railway Company Limited (JRCL) has opened the Accra Tema passenger train service for the general public. Randy Mode, a member of PR department at the JRCL, has urged the general public to patronize the shuttle services following the recent transport fare increment.
Train lovers, we've started our Accra Tema shuttle service, and it's been wonderful. During the COVID era, we suspended operation for some time, and after the COVID protocols were lifted, we realized our rail lines had been tampered with, so we needed to work on it. We did rehabilitation works by changing some of the slippers and doing other technical works on the line, and now the line is fit. In between the rehabilitation, we did a series of test runs together with our regulator, that's Ghana Railway Development Authority, and they've okayed us for us to start operation. We've started operations today. We didn't get the numbers as we were expecting, but it was okay. The train starts 6:15 it sets off from Tema and it gets to Accra around 7:30. In the evening, it sets off around 5:40 and it gets to Tema at 7 p.m. It moves one a day, but one in the morning and one in the evening. We were supposed to use the diesel multiple unit train, but the diesel multiple unit train, that's the DMU, will be ready next week. So now we are using the conventional train, which was renovated by our workers. So as you can see, this is the first class, and these are some of the leather seats on the leathers on the first class seat, and behind you is the second class seat. My advice to the general public is that the railway is the safest, reliable, and as you know, punctuality is our trademark. And considering the transportation fares nowadays, I think railway is your best bet. Because with railway, with just 5 cities, 3 cities, you can enjoy a trip from Tema.
Western Turkey is on standby with the latest update in business.
Thanks, Bright. Now it's time to bring you business right after this. And now to a first business story. According to the Deputy Director at the Ministry of Energy, Dr. Robert Sogbaji, Ghana is pursuing the agenda of net zero emission at a gradual pace in both the aviation and marine sectors.
When it comes to the aviation sector, they are trying to blend it with biofuel, as transition until they get to a complete biofuel usage for the energy transition. And this may come up in changing in the jet engine technology to adjust purely to the biofuel. So currently they are trying with blending. But for the ships, they are also trying to use the compressed natural gas because they want to switch from the liquid fuel, which are more carbon intense, to compressed natural gas until they get a solution of a very clean energy for both the aviation and the marine sector. We should transition in a manner that will fit our terms and conditions. Other countries are able to set their transition target by 2035 and 2040, but changes in international conflicts and all that make them readjust their date and sometimes bring in technologies that they used to abandon.
Now, away from that, today tourism is a significant source of income for many countries and affects the economy of both the source and host countries. Meanwhile, the national president of the Ghana Progressive Hoteliers Association, Charles Edujemfi, has lamented how overtaxation has been crippling the industry over the years.
Organization, agencies coming to your facility, giving you a lot of bills to pay. With that summary, we have what we call the fee feasting. So we do go and lobby with them and we'll look at how much we have to pay for the next year. But the other agencies like EPA, Fire, then Food and Drugs Board is also coming on board when you have a food service in your premises. Then we also have other agencies indirect from the hospitality or tourism sector coming also to take something from the industry. You know, hotel facility is something like everyday maintenance because you want to what? Beautify the place to attract more people. So money that comes in definitely is being used for the betterment of the hotel. EPA will come in calculating how many rooms you have, then they will build you. Apart from that, in the restaurant, when you have chairs and tables, they calculate that one and also build you. It is like a double tax. If this facility is a 4-star hotel, if it's a 3-star hotel, it is inclusive. That is why it is a 4 or 3-star hotel. So you cannot be building restaurants and building the rooms. They have to make it one. In aspect of the fire, it's the same thing. The problem we are having with fire is that many of the hotels have renewed their fire certificate, but they have not had it for almost 4 years now. So this is the thing that is.
Let's now bring you the latest commodity prices on the global market. That'll be all for business here on Newsbeat. My name is Winston Taki. Sports is up next after this break. Stay tuned. It's 48 past midday in the Ghanaian capital of Accra. My name is Faye John Quarty, and it's time for sports. Let's go straight to Oregon in the United States of America, where it's an all-Jamaican affair in the ladies 100 meters final. Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce won her 5th world title. This is how she reacted.
Special. It's my 5th world title in the 100, so it's definitely special, and I'm doing it 35. Yes, I said 35. So I'm grateful for that. You know, I've always just trusted myself and my coach and believed in my abilities. And once I'm healthy, I'm going to compete. Yeah, it was definitely something on the cards. You know, I'm glad that I was the one who finished first in the sweep. So I'm glad for that. And I'm glad that, you know, the other ladies were able to come through and were able to celebrate a 1, 2, 3. And one thing that I would also like to say, all 3 of us are coached by 3 different individuals in Jamaica, and it just speaks to the depth that we have. And if you're in Jamaica, you know, if you decide you want to go anywhere, it can happen, you know, and I'm grateful. The secret behind my success is I'm a competitor. I love to compete, and I believe that God has given me a gift, and I somehow feel special, you know, and I always want to compete and show the work that I've been doing, and I'm hard working.
Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce speaking to the media after winning the 100 meters finals at the World Athletics Championship in Oregon in the United States of America. Let's go to Rabat in Morocco now, because South Africa will play against Zambia in the African Women's Championship. Let's hear their coach Desiree Ellis and striker Jermaine Sopel.
It's a big game for us tomorrow. If we want to achieve one of our objectives, we have to get a positive result. We've played Zambia on many occasions. I think they know as much as we know about them, they know of us. But if we execute our plan, we will come away with a positive result.
We just trying to focus, you know, on the things we can control. We're trying to rectify our mistakes. I feel like that we kind of have come across throughout the tournament, and try and play better every time we go out there. I think as a forward, I want to positively contribute to my team, so that means scoring goals so that our team can win, but the objective is to make it to the final, and whoever scores in the game is who scores. We aren't trying to go for individual awards here. We're a team. We came here as a team. We want to win this thing as a team. So hopefully everyone can collectively contribute to the goals of the team. But if I get another goal, then so be it. It's my job. That's what the coach brought me in to do. So I'm going to try and do my best.
South African striker Jermaine Sopel preparing for the semi-final tie against Zambia. Will be all South African affair. In the other match, Nigeria, the powers of African football in terms of women football, will take on host nation Morocco in another match, all to be played today. We'll bring you all the details in our subsequent bulletin regarding the African Women's Championship. My name is Faye John Quarty. Harriet is standing by for Showbiz.
Thank you, Johnny. It's time for entertainment news. Now, talented Ghanaian poet Poetra Asantewaa has called for creation of a category for poets at the VGMA as a way of showing appreciation for their craft. She believes this will be a great compliment for their work. She spoke to Metro News.
If you say Ghana, I would. If your question is about Ghana, I would say no. I would definitely say no. I don't think that we are doing well enough. I don't think that we even identify poets. We give the due respects to poets. Every time you see a poet on any of our stages, like for instance, I've been on VGMA, etc., but it was only to complement the show. It was never as a poet, maybe like there's a category in the awards, or like they even if it was to complement the show, like they had made a ritual of it, at least so that we know that yes, there is something, there's a place for poets. I would say in Ghana, not at all. Not at all. We don't respect poets. We don't value poetry. We don't create spaces for poetry. And so it falls on the poets themselves to now create.
She also concluded that her messages in her poem are to project her true identity as a poet and also portray its importance.
I want both the content in my poem, the practice of my poem, and myself, my personality as a poet, to be an example of the ways in which poetry can be perceived in the world. I operate with the mindset that I'm creating a blueprint, right? I'm creating a way that people can learn how poetry should be presented to the world. I want people to be able to see me anywhere, on any platform, to look at my career, to go to my Instagram, anything, and be able to say she was a poet, and that was enough. That was enough of a career. Like, she moved like a poet. She was able to feed herself. She was able to form a career out of poetry.
Well, there have been conversations on Ghanaian musicians losing their originality because some sound Nigerian. But the question is it wrong? This is what artist manager Nana Poku Ashes had to say.
The originality of contemporary Ghanaian music, according to some entertainment analysts, is in the gutters. Highlife music, a typical prestigious Ghanaian music genre which fuses melodic and main rhythmic structures of traditional Akan music, are what's most preferred to be highlighted and preserved. But artist manager Nana Poku Ashes believes there's nothing wrong with Ghanaian musicians and the type of sounds they produce.
The point is, we need, like your co-host said, we need, and I'll state emphatically, to have an agenda, to have an identity. Okay. That is something all of us collectively need to come together and foster that. Because you see, Kuka was saying something, and I think I told that line a little. Music, okay, is giving. So you might create yours, and it might sound like somebody's because it's giving.
That's it for entertainment news on Newsbeat. My name is Harriet Addy Bright.
All right, Harriet Addy, thank you so much for the news. There's now time for international news. And on the international front, flash floods triggered by seasonal torrential rains in Sudan's western Darfur region have killed at least 7 people, including children, according to the UN and an aid group on Sunday. Heavy rain started late Friday in the Kars locality in South Darfur province, according to the General Coordination for Refugees and Displaced in the area. The group said the dead included a pregnant woman and 2 boys aged 2 and 8. It said at least 100 houses in camps for displaced people collapsed or were partly damaged. And that's it for the news. Before you go, a quick relook of our top stories. Latest polls by Global Info Analytics show a loss to the ruling New Patriotic Party if elections were held today, given prevailing harsh economic conditions. What difference can newly elected national executive of the party make in the upcoming elections? Meanwhile, the New Patriotic Party's Tertiary Student Confederacy petitions the party's leadership over what it describes as disrespect, undermining, and devaluation. And in some worrying news, Marburg virus disease has now been confirmed in Ghana, and the cause of deaths of 2 persons in the Ashanti region. We brought you details of this. Also on the international front, at least 7 people, including children, have been killed by a flash flood triggered by seasonal torrential rains in southern Sudan. And thank you so much for watching. I am Bright. See you again later in the day. Have a good afternoon and bye.